How many meetings have taken place, only to end with vague and scattered results? How many meticulously planned campaigns ended in disappointment? Sales fall short of expectations. Costs rise each quarter. The team loses direction, yet no one can pinpoint the root cause. At that point, every plan becomes just paperwork to rationalize the confusion. Without strategy, an organization operates blindly, reacting instead of leading. One misstep can cost market share, trust, and the future. The irony is that strategy is not inherently complicated. It's just been misunderstood for too long or overlooked at the critical moment. Now is the time to expose the core. Where does real value come from, and who is letting it leak away every day? Part 1. Strategy isn't a privileged art. It's about creating specific value. To most people, strategy sounds like a lofty, distant concept, something reserved for senior leadership, buried in thick reports and complex charts. But that's a dangerous misconception. Strategy is not a complex art or an elite privilege. At its core, strategy is very simple. It is a plan to create real value for real people, customers, employees, partners, nothing more, nothing less. And that makes strategy crucial for everyone, not just the board of directors. The most common mistake is believing that strategy begins with profit. That's completely wrong. Profit is a result, not a starting point. A sound strategy doesn't start with the question, how can we make more money, but rather how can we create more value without value? There is no sustainable profit. Strategy isn't about solving accounting equations. It's about generating a meaningful gap between the value you deliver to others and the cost of doing so. Modern strategic thinking doesn't treat profit as the direct goal. It puts people with their real experiences and personal desires at the center. The way you create joy for customers, inspiration for employees, and meaningful partnerships for collaborators, that's the foundation of any worthwhile strategy. This mindset turns strategy from a power game into an art of service. When you stop asking, what do I get, and start asking, what do I create, you become more than a manager. You become a creator of real value. Part 2. The Value Stick Model. Strategic thinking from root to tip. Effective strategic thinking requires sharp tools, and the value stick is the blade that cuts straight to the core of value creation. This is a minimalist yet powerful model that helps you see each unit of value your organization produces. Imagine a vertical stick. The top is willingness to pay, WTP, the highest amount a customer is willing to pay. The bottom is willingness to sell, WTS, the lowest amount a supplier or employee accepts for their work, product, or time. The distance between these two ends is the net value a business can create. This stick is divided into 3 parts. The top from WTP down to the selling price is the value created for customers. The bottom from the company's cost down to the WTS is value for employees or suppliers. The middle, selling price minus cost, is what the business retains as profit margin. What's powerful is this: when a company increases WTP or lowers WTS, the whole stick extends, which means total value increases. Not by taking more from others, but by making the pie bigger for everyone. This model not only clarifies your current position, it also provides clear direction. Winning the market doesn't require a complex blueprint. Just clear answers to 2 questions. How can we get customers to want to pay more? And how can we make employees or partners feel they're getting more, even if they receive less? When those gaps expand, profit flows naturally. More importantly, that profit stems from sustainable value, not tricks or short-term cost-cutting. Unlike traditional strategy models focused on market share, competition, and positioning, the value stick brings thinking back to its essence, the real perceived value of people involved in the system. You don't need to be a finance expert or a data analyst. You just need to observe. How do customers feel when they use the product? What do employees think about their jobs? The answers lie in experience, in attitude, in belief, the seemingly intangible things that produce tangible differences. What makes the value stick so powerful is its clarity of action. You can't fix everything at once. But if you know that simply raising WTP or reducing WTS increases total value, you can make decisions with focus. Maybe you don't have the budget to overhaul your product, but you can improve after-sales service. Maybe you can't offer salary raises yet, but you can create an inspiring work culture. Strategy, then, is not a long-term plan on paper. It is a series of specific actions that stretch the value stick. It's time to escape the mindset of how can we extract more from others and move toward how can we create more for everyone. That's the power of a strategy based on the value stick. It's not a two-player game with winners and losers. It's a game of collective value creation. Customers are better served. Employees are more fulfilled. The company becomes stronger. If every strategic decision is guided by two levers, increasing WTP and decreasing WTS, you're on the right path. Strategy doesn't need to be complex. It just needs to be rooted in the value mindset. Part 3. Increasing willingness to pay. Making customers want to pay more. Customers don't pay just because they need something, they pay because they feel it's worth it. Willingness to pay. WTP doesn't reflect the product's price, but rather the perceived value that customers translate into money in their minds. A skilled strategist doesn't only care about the selling price, but focuses on how to make customers want to pay more even if the actual price remains the same. When WTP increases, businesses can either raise their prices or keep them steady to deliver more value. Both options improve profit margins. The most direct way to increase WTP is by improving product or service quality. But quality never has a one-size-fits-all definition. It's not just durability, features, or raw materials. For one customer, quality may mean elegant design. For another, it's delivery speed or post-purchase peace of mind. That's why raising quality must begin with understanding the specific user. What do they expect? What do they fear? What do they believe in? Each improvement that hits the right emotional note can increase WTP far more than the cost of making the change. A smarter strategy lies in creating a complementary product ecosystem. A single product becomes far more valuable when connected with another to form a complete experience. A coffee machine only becomes truly valuable when paired with capsules. A printer is only convenient when quality ink is available. When you control the ecosystem, WTP isn't tied to a single product. It extends to the entire experience. By introducing the right complements at the right time, you not only increase revenue, but naturally and sustainably raise WTP. One often underutilized but extremely powerful factor in raising WTP is the network effect. For many products, their value increases as more people use them. An app is less attractive if none of your friends use it, but becomes irresistible when everyone is on it. This effect is particularly strong in highly connected fields technology, education, and media. Triggering network effects not only rapidly increases WTP but also creates significant competitive barriers. Raising WTP doesn't mean raising prices. A company can keep its price steady while making the customer feel like they're receiving something worth far more. The gap between WTP and price becomes the delight or customer happiness. A cup of coffee you're willing to pay $8 for, but only costs you $2, creates a mental win for the customer. That's when a business wins in the customer's mind. Raising WTP is one of the most powerful ways to build strong loyalty without discounts or gimmicks. To raise WTP effectively, companies need to shift focus from the product to the overall experience. WTP is the result of the entire customer journey from first hearing about the brand to making a purchase, and even beyond. If the product is good but the buying experience is poor, WTP is held back. If post-sale service is bad, WTP drops for the next purchase. That's why good strategy isn't just the product team's job, it must be embedded in operations, service, and communications. Every customer touchpoint is a chance to raise WTP. Increasing WTP is the art of making a product desirable, not just necessary. When customers feel that a product reflects their values, aesthetic taste, or personal beliefs, they are willing to pay more without needing a rational explanation. They're not buying features, they're buying the emotions that come with it. A great strategist understands that perceived value far outweighs functional value and knows how to trigger that perception at the right time, with the right audience. WTP is not just a number. It's a powerful psychological asset that can redefine a company's destiny. Part 4. Decreasing willingness to sell. Creating value for employees without raising salaries. Labor costs are always a tough challenge, but most businesses approach it the wrong way. They assume the only way to attract talent is by offering higher pay. That's a dangerous mental trap. Willingness to sell. WTS isn't just the minimum amount someone needs to work, it's a measure of how they perceive the value of their job. When the work is meaningful, the environment positive, and growth opportunities are clear, WTS goes down. That means a company can spend less but still generate equal or even greater value. Think of WTS as the difficulty level of getting someone to say, "I want to work here." If the job is boring, the manager overbearing, and promotions non-existent, even double the salary won't convince them. But if people are empowered, constantly learning, and feel connected, then even average pay becomes attractive. Lowering WTS doesn't mean underpaying it, means helping people feel they're getting more than they give. When WTS drops, the gap between what the company pays and how much value is felt increases. That's the real value created for employees. There are 2 ways a company can make itself more attractive in the job market. The first is by paying higher salaries. But that burns through finances, and worse, it doesn't create new value. It merely redistributes profit to employees. The second, deeper and more effective, is making the job more worthwhile, easier to understand, easier to grow in, easier to take pride in. When that happens, employees accept lower pay because they're receiving invisible rewards: satisfaction, learning, relationships, life purpose. So how do you lower WTS strategically? Start with the internal experience, a culture of openness, two-way feedback, and recognition. A clear career path keeps high performers from leaving just to get promoted. A good training program helps new hires gain confidence quickly. A flexible structure allows remote work, time autonomy, and reduced personal stress. These small changes don't require a big budget, but they lower WTS more effectively than any cash bonus. Lowering WTS not only saves costs, it boosts the performance of the entire system. When people find meaning in their jobs, they don't just get it done, they do it with energy, pride, and creativity. They stick around, they support the mission, and they spread a positive culture. When employees feel respected, they naturally create great customer experiences. The value loop begins from within. Lowering WTS is not just a financial lever, it's a cultural engine. In today's talent wars, lowering WTS is a competitive strategy. Companies that only know how to raise salaries will soon be exhausted when the budget runs dry. Meanwhile, companies that build excellent internal experiences will win the hearts and minds of their people. A dream workplace is where someone says no to a higher salary elsewhere just to stay. When that happens, WTS is no longer a burden, it becomes a strategic asset. Creating a job worth doing, that's how you create real value for your people. The key is this: if you only pay more, you're merely trading. But if you make the job more meaningful, you're creating new value. The reward is not just lower costs, but a happy, solid, and long-term team. Don't treat HR strategy as an expense, treat it as an indirect profit center. When WTS drops due to stronger cultural foundations, the business saves money and builds a competitive edge that money alone can't buy. Part 5. Case Study Revival from the BRINK using the value stick. There are moments when a business faces what seems like irreversible collapse. A major retailer with thousands of stores, once a consumer icon, stood on the edge of total failure, unable to compete with e-commerce, a quarterly loss of billions. The market called it a sinking ship. But instead of downsizing or slashing prices to survive, the new leadership completely redefined their strategic thinking, not by taking more, but by increasing value creation at both ends of the value stick. They didn't build giant distribution centers to match delivery speed. Instead, they leveraged their existing assets, the physical stores, as localized warehouses. Deliveries were made from the store closest to the buyer, cutting delivery time and transportation costs. This was a brilliantly strategic move. It increased customers' willingness to pay without significantly increasing expenses. The shopping experience improved dramatically. Customers not only got faster service, but also felt a deeper sense of proximity and care. Next, they turned to their partners, major tech suppliers, and offered an innovative proposal. Instead of spending millions opening standalone shops, place branded kiosks directly inside their supermarkets. Thus, the store-in-store model was born. This greatly reduced costs for suppliers, effectively lowering their WTS. As a result, suppliers became more eager to collaborate, provided better deals, and invested more in displays. Value increased not only for shoppers, but also for sellers. A precise, double-impact strategy with remarkably efficient implementation. The final strategic shift was internal. Previously, staff had to sell hundreds of products they barely understood. Now, they were assigned to specific brand zones. Salespeople became product experts, offered better advice, and felt more confident. They no longer saw themselves as mere sellers, but as trusted consultants. This boosted their sense of value, which in turn lowered their WTS significantly. The company didn't raise salaries, but still offered a better work experience and improved retention. Happy employees, satisfied customers, a self-reinforcing value loop. What was the result? Operating costs dropped. Price pressure eased because customers saw the products as worth it. Employees stayed longer and served better. Partners collaborated more and offered better deals. And most surprisingly, the company went from deep losses to achieving over 20% return on invested capital. No financial miracle, no marketing magic, just a true understanding of strategy, not about grabbing a bigger slice, but expanding the pie. Every move lengthened the value stick, multiplying value for everyone involved. Part 6. Strategy means creating value first, not taking it after. The biggest mistake in modern strategy is asking, how do we get a bigger slice of the existing pie? That's a mindset full of limits and scarcity. The real question should be, how do we make a bigger pie for everyone? When you raise willingness to pay, you make customers feel the product is more worthwhile. When you lower willingness to sell, you make employees and partners feel that the work and relationships are more valuable. You're not taking, you're adding. And that's what delivers the most sustainable profit. Remember, profit is just what remains, what naturally appears when enough value is created and shared the right way. Strategy doesn't begin with spreadsheets. It begins with experiences, emotions, and commitment. When customers smile, employees feel proud, and partners trust you. Profit margins take care of themselves. It all begins with a single mindset. Strategy is about creating value, not dividing it, not capturing it, but building it, spreading it, and nurturing it. Strategy is not a game of power, nor is it a perfect drawing on paper. It is the choice between grabbing a bigger piece or creating a surplus for all. Any place that obsessively cuts costs, squeezes margins, and optimizes every last dollar while neglecting people is digging its own grave. Why not start by making customers willingly come back and employees proudly stay? Growth doesn't come from pressure. It comes from a shared sense of value. Sustainability is not in the spreadsheets. It's in the lived experience of every person involved. True strategy is the art of making everyone want to stay. Thank you for watching the whole video. Please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos.